Today I'm going to talk about TikTok versus the United States, a case of the digital Leviathan and the invisible empire. What makes this case so interesting is that it's not just about an app, it's really about power. TikTok has around 170 million users in the US. This is a platform with enormous influence over culture, communication, and even business. That's why the conflict became much bigger than social media. The conflict became more serious back in 2024 when the US passed a law saying ByteDance, the TikTok Chinese parent company, had to sell TikTok's US business on an app or the app could shut down. Then on January 17th of 2025, the Supreme Court upheld that law. Just 2 days later, January 19, TikTok briefly went dark in the United States before service started coming back. So this wasn't just a theoretical debate. People actually saw what it looked like when a major platform could suddenly disappear. So what makes TikTok so important and that it doesn't just host videos? It organizes attentions through the For You page. It decides what becomes visible, what goes viral, and what goes people uh, and what they talk about. Reuters also reported that more than 7 million US small businesses depend on TikTok. So this is not only about entertainment. It also affects our advertising, sales, creators, and digital businesses. This connects really well to Thomas Hobbes. Hobbes says that the Leviathan is the sovereign power that keeps order and prevents chaos. In this case, TikTok can be seen as part of the digital Leviathan because it governs a huge online space through algorithms, rules, and visibility. But at the same time, the US government also acts like a Leviathan because it is also trying to reassert control over that space on the name of the national security. So why call digital TikTok digital Leviathan? Because it has the power to shape that what millions of people see every day. It influences trends, conversations, opinions, and even buying behavior. That kind of power is huge, especially because it doesn't look like traditional political power. It works through recommendations, visibility, and algorithm control. In other words, TikTok doesn't force people physically, it influences them by controlling attention. TikTok also works as an invisible empire. It operates across borders, but it still has real effects inside national territory. It connects data, culture, communication, and commerce in online system. Its power doesn't come from land or military force, but from code, infrastructure with digital dependence. Reuters later reported that TikTok was preparing a separate US app with its own algorithm and user data, which shows that the real struggle was over who controls the architecture of this platform inside the US. If we look at the map, the most important part is the center, which is TikTok's algorithm, because the algorithm is what organizes visibility and influence. Around it, we have ByteDance, which owns the platform, that then users, creators, advertisers, and small businesses who also depend on TikTok's reach. We also have app stores and service providers because they control access and distribution. And the other side is the US government. From a geopolitical point of view, this case shows that the rivalry between the US and China is no longer just about trade or manufacturing. It's not, it now also includes platforms, algorithms, and digital influence. From a business point of view, it shows how dependent creators, brands, and small businesses can become on private digital platforms. Once geopolitics enters the space, market access becomes uncertain. And finally, to conclude, TikTok versus the United States shows that digital power is no longer controlled only by the government. Platforms like TikToks do much more than entertain people. They shape visibility, influence behavior, and organize attention into a massive scale. That's why TikTok can be determined as a digital Leviathan. At the same time, it also represents the invisible empire because it operates across borders and affects what people inside of the country without being a state itself. In the end, in this case, it's not only one app. It's really about who should control digital space in the age of algorithms. Thank you very much. That's the end.